Have you ever noticed how some people can control a room without saying a single word? They don't argue. They don't explain. They don't chase. They simply withdraw, and suddenly the atmosphere changes. People feel uneasy. They start questioning. They chase. They feel the loss. Now imagine if you did the same. What if you stopped reacting instantly? What if silence became your response instead of emotion? What if withdrawal replaced explanation? That's where real power begins. Because the truth is, most people don't control you directly. They control your reactions, your predictability, your need to respond, to fix, to please. And the moment you stop being available, the entire dynamic collapses. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." So ask yourself this: when you become distant, who gets uncomfortable? Who tries to provoke you? Who suddenly demands explanations? That reaction tells you everything, because you've been taught that availability is virtue. Respond fast, be present, keep the peace, don't disappoint. But here's the truth no one says clearly. Excessive availability is not kindness. It is self-abandonment. Every forced yes, every immediate reply, every emotional reaction you didn't want to give, it costs you energy. And at the end of the day, you feel tired, empty, frustrated, without knowing why, because you gave too much of yourself to people who never earned access to your inner world. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming selective. Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming whole. And it begins the moment you understand this. Silence can be stronger than 1,000 explanations. When withdrawal comes from awareness, not fear, it becomes authority. You are conditioned from childhood to believe your worth lies in how useful you are to others, how available, how accommodating. But being always accessible makes you predictable, and everything predictable becomes usable. People start treating you like an emotional emergency button. They press you when they need relief, and forget you when they don't. And you accept it, because you think being present for everyone will make someone be present for you. It won't. Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted, and that mask is exactly what keeps you overgiven. You say it's okay while suffocating. You explain yourself when you owe nothing. You respond when you're exhausted. And slowly, you disappear from your own life. Being available all the time is a quiet form of self-betrayal. A way to avoid rejection. A way to control how others see you. But the price is your peace. People who demand constant access don't want you. They want what you provide. Validation, comfort, attention. And the moment you set a boundary, they change. They call you distant, cold, selfish, not because you changed, but because you stopped being useful. Here's the brutal truth. What is always available is never valued. Respect grows where effort is required. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, who truly deserves your time, your attention, your presence, and who deserves your absence? To understand why this is so difficult, we need to talk about energy. Jung believed the psyche is an energy system. Every thought, emotion, reaction consumes it. When you argue with someone who doesn't listen, when you defend yourself against disrespect, when you engage in pointless emotional battles, you are draining your life force, and people who live drained become vulnerable. Manipulative people sense this. They know exactly which buttons to press because you left them exposed. A healthy psyche knows how to contain energy. That means knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, when to walk away without guilt. True power is not reaction. It is choice. How many nights have you lost replaying conversations? How many hours have you spent trying to understand someone who never tried to understand you? That's energy leaking into places that give nothing back. When your energy is guarded, something changes. Your presence deepens. Your words carry weight. Your silence commands respect. And here's where things get uncomfortable. When you stop reacting, people lose control over the image they had of you. Their projections collapse. Some people never related to you, only to the role you played. the helper, the listener, the emotional support. When you withdraw, they feel exposed, and exposure creates anger. This is why silence feels threatening, because while you are silent, they are forced to face themselves. Jung said we don't become conscious by imagining light, but by confronting the shadow. Your unavailability brings out the shadow in others. They provoke, they criticize, they create drama. Not because you're wrong, but because you stopped feeding the cycle. Silence is not absence, it is concentrated presence. It allows you to observe patterns, manipulation, repetition, self-betrayal, and once you see clearly, you can't go back. But silence has a cost. You will lose people who only loved your usefulness. You will be misunderstood. You'll feel alone for a while. This is not failure. This is transition. Individuation requires distance from the collective, a sacred isolation where you hear your own voice again. Start small, pause before responding, leave conversations that drain you, say not today without explanation, turn inward without guilt. You don't need to justify your silence. It explains itself. Watch who becomes uncomfortable when you stop explaining. Watch who tries to pull you back into old roles. That's your confirmation. Yes, you'll feel guilty at first. Yes, it will feel unnatural. You were trained to put yourself second, but conscious unavailability is self-respect in action. When you say no to chaos, you say yes to peace. When you withdraw from toxicity, you return to yourself, and then something profound happens. The silence that once felt heavy becomes calm. Solitude becomes strength. You stop reacting and start choosing. You no longer chase connection. You allow alignment. You lose people, but you find yourself. You become rare, grounded, unshakable, not because you're distant, but because you are whole. So ask yourself honestly, are you ready to be misunderstood in order to be free? Are you willing to stop explaining your worth? If this resonates, comment, I choose my peace, and stay with this path, because once you stop being available to everything, you become available to what truly matters.